The bell above the door chimed softly. Sarah looked up from her sketchbook. A man stood there, rain-slicked and smiling. He had eyes like a summer sky, clear, bright, unforgettable. She felt a jolt, unexpected and warm. It was a Tuesday, just an ordinary Tuesday. But something felt different, changed. He ordered a black coffee, strong. His voice was deep, a gentle rumble. He caught her eye and smiled again. Sarah's cheeks flushed. She quickly looked down. Her pencil felt clumsy in her hand. The cafe suddenly seemed too small, too quiet, except for her heart. It beat a frantic rhythm against her ribs. He found a seat near the window. The rain streaked down the glass pane. He didn't open a laptop or a book. He just watched the world outside. Sarah risked another glance. He was handsome, more than handsome. He had a presence, a quiet confidence that drew her in. She wondered what he was thinking. Then he walked over to her table. "That's a beautiful drawing," he said. His gaze was direct, kind. Sarah's voice caught in her throat. "Thank you," she managed, a whisper. "I'm David," he offered, extending a hand. His touch was warm, firm. "Sarah," she replied, finding her voice, finally. Their conversation flowed like a river. Easy, natural, unstoppable. They talked for hours that first day. About art, about dreams, about everything. David was an architect. He built futures. Sarah was an artist. She captured moments. He understood her passion, her quiet ambition. He encouraged her, believed in her. Their dates were simple, perfect. Long walks in the park, shared laughter, visits to art galleries, quiet dinners. He listened when she spoke about her art. He saw the talent she sometimes doubted. "You have a gift, Sarah," he'd say. "Don't ever hide it." His belief became her strength. He helped her prepare for her first exhibition. He framed her paintings, hung them with care. He calmed her nerves, held her hand. The exhibition was a success, a small triumph. Sarah felt her career blossoming, growing, and David was there, her steadfast supporter, her biggest fan, her dearest friend. Love had found her, unexpectedly, beautifully. They moved in together, a small apartment, filled with sunlight, and her canvases, and his blueprints, and their shared dreams. Every day was a new discovery, a deeper understanding, a growing affection. He proposed on a beach at sunset, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink. She said yes, without a moment's hesitation. Their wedding was intimate, joyful, held in a small garden under a clear sky. Sarah wore a simple white dress. David looked at her, his eyes full of love. "With this ring," he vowed, "I thee wed." His voice was steady, his promise true. She felt tears well up, happy tears. This was it. Her forever, her David. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm, work, love, shared quiet evenings. Sarah's art career was taking off. David was designing a new community center. They talked about children one day. Maybe about a house with a bigger studio. Their future seemed bright, unblemished. A perfect picture they were painting together. Then the phone call came. Late one night. Sarah's heart leaped into her throat. A voice, calm but urgent. "There's been an accident." David. It was David. He was driving home from a site meeting. A truck had lost control, skidded on wet roads. She rushed to the hospital, fear a cold knot. The world tilted, went blurry. She found him in a sterile white room. Bandages covered his head, his eyes. He was conscious, but quiet. Too quiet. "Sarah?" he whispered, his voice weak. She grasped his hand, held it tight. "I'm here, David. I'm right here." The doctor spoke to her in hushed tones, words she didn't want to hear, couldn't comprehend. The doctor's words echoed in her mind. Severe trauma to the optic nerves. "The damage is extensive, I'm afraid." Sarah felt the floor disappear beneath her. Blind. The word hung in the air, heavy, suffocating. David might never see again. Her vibrant, observant David, the man who loved watching sunsets with her. David was silent for a long time. He lay in the hospital bed, staring at nothing. Sarah sat beside him, holding his hand. What could she say? What comfort could she offer? The future they had planned. vanished, replaced by an uncertain shadowed path. She tried to be strong for him, for them, but inside her heart was breaking. "I can't see anything, Sarah," he finally said. His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "It's all just dark." She squeezed his hand tighter. "We'll face this, David. Together, I promise. But how? How did one face such a void? He was an architect. His eyes were his tools, his window to the world he shaped. The days in the hospital were long, draining, tests, more doctors, more hushed conversations. The prognosis remained the same, grim. David retreated further into himself. He spoke little, ate little. Sarah watched him. Her soul ached. She wanted to scream, to rage at the unfairness. Instead, she smoothed his hair, whispered reassurances. Section 5. Navigating the Shadows. A Wife's Unwavering Care. They brought David home, to a changed world. Sarah had rearranged the furniture, cleared pathways, removed hazards. She described everything to him. The color of the morning sky, the new flowers, the details of her latest painting. She became his eyes, his guide, her love a beacon in his new darkness. Caring for him was exhausting, physically, emotionally. She helped him dress, to eat, to navigate. She read to him for hours. His favorite books, news articles, anything to fill the silence. Her own art was neglected. Her studio gathered dust. There was no time, no energy. Her focus was solely on David, on helping him adjust, to find a new way. He was often frustrated, angry, despondent. He would lash out, then apologize. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't mean to." "I know," she would say softly. "I understand." But did she? Could she truly understand? The fear, the loss, the utter dependence. She tried, with every fiber of her being. She loved him. That was all that mattered. Some days were better than others. A small laugh, a shared memory, a moment when he seemed like his old self. Sarah clung to these moments, cherished them. They were lifelines in a sea of difficulty. She learned patience, resilience, a deeper love, a love tested by shadows and hardship. She would not let him go. She would not falter. Section 6. Flickers of suspicion, unsettling glitches in the dark. Months passed, a slow, arduous journey. David learned to use a cane. He memorized the layout of their apartment. Sarah encouraged him to try new things. Audiobooks, pottery, anything to engage him. She saw glimpses of his former spirit, but a deep sadness often clouded his face. She worried constantly, her heart heavy. Then, small things started to niggle at her. Tiny inconsistencies, almost imperceptible. Once he flinched when she nearly dropped a glass he shouldn't have seen falling. He quickly masked it. "Just a sound," he said, but Sarah felt a prickle of unease. She dismissed it. Grief made people sensitive. She was tired, overthinking things. Another time he commented on her new haircut. "It feels shorter," he'd said, his hand brushing it. But she hadn't told him she'd had it cut, and it wasn't dramatically different. How could he know? Just by touch? She pushed the thought away. Coincidence. He was becoming more attuned to other senses. That had to be it. Of course. Yet the doubts began to gather. Like dust motes, unseen at first, then catching the light. She saw him once, reaching for a book, the correct book, on a high shelf, without fumbling, without hesitation. He froze when he realized she was there. "I thought I remembered where it was," he mumbled. Her stomach churned. Something was wrong. Section 7. The Light of Truth. A Devastating Discovery. The unease grew into a gnawing suspicion. Sarah tried to ignore it, to trust him. But the small glitches continued. Too many. She felt torn, guilty for doubting him, for doubting the man she loved, the man who had suffered so much. Yet her intuition screamed at her. Something was terribly, deeply amiss. One afternoon she was tidying his bedside table. His wallet was there. She rarely touched it. But a small folded piece of paper peeked out. Curiosity, or perhaps a deeper instinct, made her look. It was a medical report. Recent. Not from the hospital, from a private clinic. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it. The words leaped out at her, clear, stark. Patient exhibits full retinal function, no signs of optic nerve damage. Visual acuity 20/20. The room spun. Sarah sank onto the bed. Her breath caught in her chest, a painful gasp. Blind? He wasn't blind. He had never been blind. The doctor's prognosis, the darkness, the struggle, all of it. A lie, a terrible, cruel lie. She stared at the paper, disbelieving. The carefully constructed world she had built, her sacrifices, her unwavering care, her love. Had it all been for a charade, a test? Tears streamed down her face. Hot, angry, betrayal sharp and cold pierced her heart. How could he? How could David do this to her? The man she had vowed to love, in sickness and health. Section 8. Shattered trust, the weight of deception. She waited for him to return. The report clutched. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a wild drum, each minute stretched into an eternity. She heard his key in the lock, his familiar footsteps. "Sarah? Are you home, love?" he called. His voice, usually a comfort, now grated. She didn't answer. She couldn't speak. He found her in the bedroom, silent, waiting. "Sarah? What's wrong?" He sounded concerned. But his concern felt like another layer of deceit. She held out the paper. Her hand shook violently. "Explain this, David," she said, her voice low, trembling. He saw the report. His face paled. The carefully maintained facade crumbled. Instantly. He didn't need to ask what it was. He knew. The truth was out. Exposed. "Sarah, I can explain," he stammered. His eyes, his clear seeing eyes, met hers. She saw guilt in them, and fear. "You lied to me," she whispered. "The pain raw. For months. You let me. You watched me." She couldn't finish. The enormity of it choked her. All those days, all those nights, her devotion, wasted on a cruel, elaborate deception. "I was scared," he finally said, his voice breaking. "After the accident, I was so scared of losing you. I thought, if you still loved me, even like this." "This was a test," she cried. "You tested my love?" The words felt like shards of glass in her mouth. Love wasn't a game, not a test to be passed. It was trust, honesty, shared vulnerability. He had shattered it all, every piece. Section 9. Mending a Broken Canvas, the Path to Forgiveness. The days that followed were cold, silent. Sarah moved into the spare room. The apartment felt vast, empty, full of unspoken words. David tried to talk to her, to apologize. His explanations felt hollow, selfish. He spoke of insecurity, of a deep-seated fear, a fear that her love was tied to his strength, his ability to provide, to be her rock. She listened, but the hurt was a wall. How could he think so little of her? Of their love? She had given him everything. Her heart, her soul. His deception had cut deeper than any physical wound. It had tainted their memories, their shared past. She looked at her wedding ring. It felt heavy, a symbol of vows now broken, of trust betrayed. Could they ever find their way back from this? Slowly, painfully, they began to talk, really talk. Not just about the lie, but about their fears, their insecurities, the cracks in their foundation. David attended therapy, to understand his actions, to confront the issues that led to his cruel test. Sarah watched him, cautiously, warily. She saw remorse in his eyes, genuine pain, but forgiveness felt like a distant shore. It took time, a long, arduous time. There were no easy answers, no quick fixes. Trust once shattered was fragile to rebuild. But beneath the anger and the pain, love still flickered, a stubborn ember refusing to be extinguished. They learned that love wasn't about grand tests. It was about daily choices, honesty, and the courage to forgive. Their canvas was torn, but perhaps together they could mend it.
Stay focused and stay motivated. Chris Nkume says so.